Over Human Rights Watch report of alleged sexual abuse at IDP camps directs immediate investigations. National Democratic Institute, House of Democracy Partnership, U.S. House of Representatives, and National Institute for Legislative in Synergy for Good Governance. Secretary to the Government of the Federation apologizes to FCT indigenes over political appointments. Good to have you join us on the news on NTA International. I am Ifeanyi Okafor. And top on the news, worried over the alarming rate of kidnapping and other security concerns in their states, Governor Mohammed Abubakar of Bauchi and his Jigawa state counterpart Badr Abubakar this Monday held a strategic meeting with President Muhammadu Buhari towards confronting the situation. Correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the president also conferred with the governors of Plateau and Benue states on similar issues of security, the economy, and politics.
Governor Muhammad Abdullahi Abubakar of Bauchi State and his neighboring Jigawa State counterpart Muhammad Badr Abubakar jointly briefed President Muhammadu Buhari on the menace of kidnapping being perpetrated along their common border areas and what needs to be done to contain the situation for sustainable peace and development.
We are concerned because the spate of kidnapping is increasing, and anything that will touch on the security of our states is a matter of great concerns to us. That is why we have rushed before the thing becomes endemic, and we have conferred with Mr. President, and we have the support of Mr. President to rout them out.
We have been fighting insurgency, we have been fighting all these criminal elements in our individual states, but we believe we need a coordinated fight and finally put rest to the problems there. The president is willing to assist us, and I think the army chiefs will be briefed, and we will certainly see some action.
The Bauchi State Governor also clears the air on the recent engagement by some northern governors in the United States, which he said was in the best interest of the region.
The northern governors were invited by the United States Peace Institute. They have a great concern for the situation in the northern parts of Nigeria. We have discussed with them what they termed the drivers of insurgency, the root causes of insurgency, illiteracy, poverty, lack of empowerment of youth and women, the issue of the IDPs. And we have solicited for their immediate support.
Similar issues of security also dominated discussions when President Muhammadu Buhari granted audience to the Benue State Governor Samuel Otom.
With the support of Mr. President, I can say that the state is relatively calm. Today, the issue of herdsmen and farmers clashes, we've been able to, through dialogue, agree to work together in a manner that there will be win-win. Yes, the herdsmen have their right to live, but the farmers too have their right to live. We have the food, they have the meat. So we must always find a way around it, working together, not allowing criminality to be involved.
In the meantime, the chairman, APC Gubernatorial Campaign Council for the forthcoming Ondo State governorship election and Governor of Plateau State, Simon Lalong, was also in the State House to formally present the APC candidate for the election, Rotimi Akeredolu, to President Muhammadu Buhari.
We came with a confirmation that APC has only one candidate, unlike other parties that are fighting about who is their candidate. We are seeing a very smooth election. Not only a smooth election, and then the credibility of the candidate itself is something worth selling. President has also confirmed that, yes, he's seen the candidate and also praying for a successful election in Ondo State.
Today, APC is not only on ground in Ondo, APC is at the center in this country. And take it or leave it, the people of Ondo State want change, and they are prepared to give everything for it, to have change in government.
The Ondo State governorship election is slated for the 26th of November this year. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari is also worried and shocked by the recently released Human Rights Watch report, which alleges sexual abuse and exploitation of women and girls in camps for those displaced by the Boko Haram insurgency. A statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, maintains that the welfare of these vulnerable Nigerian citizens has been a priority of his government, and the international community can be rest assured that the allegations raised in the report are not being taken lightly. President Buhari has therefore instructed the Inspector General of Police and the state governors of the affected states to immediately commence investigations into the issue to determine the next line of action. While the Nigerian military continues to work hard so that these victims of Boko Haram terrorism can return safely to their homes, government will do its best to ensure their protection and welfare in the temporary IDP camps. Still focusing on security matters, a coalition of Niger Delta youth leaders has commended President Muhammadu Buhari's peace initiative towards restoring peace and stability in the Niger Delta region. This was at a press briefing held in Abuja. Timothy Yusuf now reports.
They say bombing critical public infrastructure in Nigeria and Niger Delta region in particular is anti-people and government, which is why the coalition is calling on the aggrieved youths in the region to embrace the peace initiative of government.
We appeal to Mr. President to inaugurate the new board of NDDC. This will bring about peace and sustainable development in the region.
The leaders enjoined militants to see government's readiness for dialogue as an opportunity for constructive engagement towards a lasting solution to the problems in the region.
The Niger Delta people are following a process to make sure that there is dialogue as offered by Mr. President. And if these circumstances are not being controlled and maintained, the essence of this dialogue may be defeated.
I always insist that peace is a product.
In Abuja, Timothy Yusuf, NTA News.
And from the National Assembly, the House Ad Hoc Committee on Insurance investigating returns on premiums paid to government officials by insurance companies says it has uncovered 640 million naira paid as commission to 2 unlicensed brokers. The payment was made by insurance companies that provided services in some ministries, departments, and agencies. National Assembly correspondent Ifeanyi Ezumba reports.
Speaking at the hearing, Chairman House Ad Hoc Committee on Insurance Adekunle Akinlade named the unlicensed brokers and said there is need to check processes of government to avoid leakages plus other reactions.
We need to look at the processes of selection. How do you pick these insurance and brokerage firms? You know, what is the level of complicity in this return on premium? Money is being paid back to individuals.
We did business with Chrome, and we know, just like you also know, that they have not been able to renew their license.
There are no discrepancies from our own end. The areas where we weren't so clear about, we wrote to the leading underwriter to shed more light.
In another development, Chairman House Committee on Maritime Safety, Education and Administration, Mohammed Omar Bago, has advised the Maritime Academy of Nigeria to pay contractors that have certificates of completion of jobs so that those that have reached an appreciable level will resume work. This was at a budget performance review of the Academy.
The ministry that is giving you a no payment order, let the minister come here and tell us exactly that you should not pay. He told you not to pay contractors. But I know, as a minister, he can tell you not to award contract because you don't have a substantive rector. Those ones that have already worked for the last 6 years, from 2010, nobody has right to say you shouldn't pay them.
When you are taking over a job from somebody else, you need to take time to study the situation. So we have done a lot of payment between January and July. The acting authority died over 600 million to contractors.
The registrar is to appear before the committee again with all documents of their transactions in 2 weeks' time and to forward the documents a week ahead of time. From the National Assembly, Ifeanyi Ezumba, NT News.
The need to reform the Islamic personal laws in order to protect rights of women and children formed part of recommendations of a research on 15 years of Sharia implementation in northern Nigeria conducted by the Development Research Projects Center and partners. Ali Tukur has the details.
The return of Nigeria to democratic governance in 1999 re-energized agitation for reintroduction and implementation of the Sharia legal system in some northern states. 12 states have so far adopted, bringing social, political, and economic reactions. It was against this backdrop the research was conducted with the aim of using the findings for policy-level advocacy by engaging relevant authorities. The research, which is based on 5 fields such as Sharia courts, Hizbah, Zakat, Ulama, and gender, is said to have positive impact on the society, especially in addressing issues of women and children.
What we need is a deeper and better application, not just stop at the reform of the criminal law, but also to reform the personal law, so that some of the negative things that have been happening to women, even before Sharia, should also be addressed.
We strongly believe that the findings from this research will contribute to the conversation on how to ensure that we have a more peaceful Nigeria going forward.
Among some of the recommendations is to invest more on the Sharia courts to improve quality of justice delivery and establishment of more customary courts for the use of non-Muslims. In Abuja, Aliu Tukur, NTA News.
And returning to legislative matters, in a bid to scale up advocacy for democracy consolidation in Nigeria, the National Democratic Institute, the House Democracy Partnership of the United States House of Representatives, and the National Institute for Legislative Studies, NILS, have held talks on fostering a synergy to drive best practice standards for good governance. National Assembly correspondent Dennis Adegunloye reports.
Made a request to me that I'm not sharing that information with the executive.
The delegation seeks to share experiences and exchange ideas between parliamentarians from different countries to ensure optimal performance and response to citizens' needs.
In addition to NILS, we're meeting with a whole variety of stakeholders, with civil society, with academia, with various committees, with leadership of both houses. And so the intent is just to explore kind of where the National Assembly sees itself going, and are there areas where an exchange of ideas would be helpful?
We hope that we'll be able to share best practices with them, share experiences, and benefit from their longer period of service on deepening of democratic culture globally.
The U.S. delegation also engaged the Senior Special Assistant on National Assembly Matters, Senator Ita Enang.
The public account report are almost always taken in installments, departmentally. So this is an area which we will think that partnership will help.
The House Democracy Partnership comprises 20 partner countries and has since 2005 promoted inter-parliamentary dialogue and strengthening of bilateral ties with the U.S. Congress. In Abuja, Dennis Adegunloye, NTA News.
The fight against corruption can not be achieved if it is not seen and taken as a collective responsibility of the citizens and the government. This was the position of guests on NTA's flagship program, Good Morning Nigeria, while discussing the topic, Corruption and You. This Monday, Oyeyemi Ajayi has details.
Corruption in Nigeria has continued to be a daily topic of discourse by every Nigerian, especially as the present government makes the fight against it one of its priorities. Cutting across the political class, down to the man on the street, corruption has been said to have eaten deep to the extent that some acts of corruption are seen as normal in the society. The fact that it takes two to be corrupt, guests on Good Morning Nigeria classified corruption into grand corruption, which they say involves the political class, and the petty corruption, which involves the people. The question is that how active are the institutions saddled with the responsibility in the fight against corruption?
So where is the audit? Where is the Auditor General's office? Are we strengthening that office to perform its role? Where is the Accountant General's office? Are we strengthening it? Is the National Assembly, are the National Assembly committees performing their oversight functions? When people talk about EFCC, ICPC, those are indications of a collapse. The setup of these institutions is indication that something is wrong with our policing system.
We need to overhaul our educational system and ensure that there is discipline, there is high-level performance. Just what we used to have should come back in the educational system.
We have to ensure that we have the right leaders, because what we have incidental leaders in many places, and that is why they do not really see anything wrong.
Well, either talking about the grand corruption or the petty corruption. All is corruption, and there is a need for Nigerians to key into the change campaign of the Buhari-led administration, which is change begins with me, and of course with you too. In Abuja, Oyeyemi Ajayi, NTA News.
This is NTA International News from Nigeria's capital, Abuja. The news will continue in just a moment after the break. Stay tuned.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. So let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogerula. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with
NTA International News. Africa.
Great to have you back on the news on NTA International. The Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir David Lawal, has apologized to indigents of the Federal Capital Territory for their exclusion in federal government appointments made by the present administration so far. He assured them that the omission is not deliberate and that the situation will be corrected during appointments. He explained that he will bring the omission to the attention of President Muhammadu Buhari. The SGF was speaking at an audience with Alhaji Adamu Baba Yunusa, the owner of Abaji and Chairman FCT Council of Chiefs. The owner of Abaji complained about the exclusion of FCT indigents in the reconstitution of the governing councils of federal universities, the composition of the Federal Executive Council, and more recently, the nomination of non-career ambassadorial nominees. He therefore urged that the anomaly should be corrected since it contravenes certain provisions of the 1999 Constitution and the Federal Character Commission that specifies that the FCT should be treated as if it were one of the states of Nigeria. The owner also appealed to the SGF to use his good offices to carry the FCT along when political appointments are made. The need for the federal government to assent the disability bill in order to ensure the integration of persons with disabilities into the society has again been emphasized. This was a submission of speakers at the 50th birthday of Senator Osita Izunaso and the 11th anniversary of Kpakpando Foundation. Joseph Johnson reports.
Over the years, persons with disability in Nigeria have been marginalized in almost all spheres, depriving them of the basic opportunities entitled to every citizen, thereby infringing their fundamental human rights. For 11 years, the Kpakpando Foundation for Physically Challenged Persons has been looking into their plight, and a large number of them, alongside government functionaries, traditional rulers, and notable personalities converged here to celebrate the 11th anniversary of the foundation, which coincided with the 50th birthday of the founder, Senator Osita Izunasu.
We do this religiously every year because we believe sincerely that persons with disability that we call special citizens have enormous potentials in them. All it requires is for you to develop that potential.
Whether we are crippled, poor, no matter our condition, all of us have a claim to this country.
Beneficiaries were presented with gifts including cars, sewing machines, wheelchairs, and others.
I give a 3 boza to these organizers. He has done a laudable job. If we have 10 Nigerians who are doing this, Nigeria will change.
They may be physically challenged, but with the delay in assenting the disability bill, their livelihoods and rights would constantly be disabled. Joseph Johnson, NTA News.
Well, let's join Muplang Dakok on Business News.
Glad to have you join us on this segment. Volume of trade between Nigeria and Turkey in the first 7 months of 2016 reached $600 million, and it is expected to exceed $1 billion at the end of the year. Turkish ambassador to Nigeria, Hakan Kakil, said approximately 70 Turkish companies operate in Nigeria, and imports from Nigeria to Turkey include crude oil, palm oil, and sesame oil. Nigeria has become the 9th supplier of crude oil to the United States of America, from 15th position in 2014 and 12th position in 2012. According to latest data from the U.S. Energy Information Administration, the U.S. imports of Nigeria crude oil hit a 2016 high of 272,000 barrels per day, the biggest volume since 2013. Still on oil, crude oil price declined for a second day Monday to about $50 per barrel, dropping by as much as 1.1%. Let's take a look at price of oil and other commodities on the global market. That's it on Business News. I am Muplang Dakok.
And Fatima Lee is next with news from other parts of the globe.
Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni has returned to his farm, where he will spend the next week promoting agriculture and overseeing government projects across the districts of Luwero. Reports indicate that the president has already been showing locals how to plant bananas and coffee using plastic bottles to irrigate the land. And South Africa's Economic Freedom Fighters Party has called for Chief Prosecutor Sean Abrahams to be barred from practicing following his blunder in charging Finance Minister Pravin Gordhan with fraud and then reversing the decision. The party, led by firebrand Julius Malema, said it had written to the General Council of the Bar, which regulates the activities of advocates, asking Mr. Abraham to be barred from the profession because he was neither competent nor fit and improper to practice law. Mr. Abraham, on his part, has repeatedly insisted that he acted impartially and is not politically motivated. Elsewhere, Italy's most powerful earthquake since 1980 has left more than 15,000 people homeless, while about 20 people were injured. The report indicates that though no life was lost, 6.6 magnitude quake damaged the area around the town of Niger in the central region, where nearly 300 people were killed by a quake in August. Italy Prime Minister Matteo Renzi chaired a meeting of his cabinet to discuss emergency reconstruction of the Sunday morning quake, which left several towns and villages structurally unsafe. Fatima Aliu, NTA News.
Now, sports. Nigerian Air Force reaffirms commitment to sports development in the country as Team Civil Defense emerged champions of maiden interior games in Kaduna. Correspondent Amazi Marcos has details.
Stakeholders at the just concluded Nigerian Air Force Games in Katsina have lauded the initiative, saying it will go a long way in keeping the personnel fit while producing a pool of talents that can represent Nigeria in international competitions. Training Command Kaduna won with 21 gold, 13 silver, and 14 bronze medals.
But you must ensure that you maintain the tempo so that perhaps in the near future, some of you will be able to represent not only the Nigerian Air Force, but indeed the country in international sporting events.
Indeed, the physical fitness exhibited by men and officers of the Nigerian Air Force confirm their capabilities to defend the territorial integrity of our dear country.
Meanwhile, correspondent Benny Adams reports that the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps are champions of the Ministry of Interior Games with 13 gold, 20 silver, and 18 bronze medals, beating Nigeria Police Force and Nigerian Prison Service to the second and third positions. At the closing weekend in Kaduna, Minister of Interior Lieutenant General Abdurrahman Dambazau, Minister of Youth and Sports Development Solomon Dalong, and Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai commended the athletes for exhibiting high sense of discipline while pledging their support towards the next edition of the competition. Children between the ages of 6 to 14 who participated in a karate competition organized by the Nigeria Karate Association FCT chapter have pledged their commitment to the game, hoping to be world champions in future. Over 80 school children competed in the one-day championship in Abuja ahead of the Nigeria Black Belt College Championship coming up in November. With sports update, Amanzi Marcus. NTA News.
It's time now for a quick check on Tuesday's weather outlook for Nigeria and some world cities.